everybody, how we doing today? Hope you guys are having a lovely day. This video is getting posted on Saturday, so happy Saturday. It is actually Thursday right now when I'm recording this, because we're very busy, which is great. Anyway, this painting is brought to you by the City of Charlottetown. They asked us to do 3 videos for them, and we gave them a bunch of kits and all of that kind of stuff that people could pick up for free at City Hall, not here. So yeah, this is the first of 3. The other dates, I believe, are later in February. I think one is the 19th, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the last one. I apologize about that. But if you go up to the City of Charlottetown, their Facebook page, I believe they have all the dates on there. We also have them on our website and Facebook page, eastcoastartparty.com, so you can check it all out there. Anyway, for this one, we're going to be doing a nice, simple little happy snowman. Fairly easy. We'll be all right. This video will be left up for a while on both YouTube and Facebook. Don't forget, you can pause and rewind. Okay, so if at any point I'm moving a little too fast for you, or you need a little break, anything along those lines, just hit that pause button. You can rewind, you can fast forward, you can do all that good stuff. Let's go for it. So, should have 3 paintbrushes, large one, medium one, small one. Now I do have like a really big guy here that I'm going to use. He's real big, super large. I'm going to use him for this background. All right, I've also got all 5 colors because we're going to need them today. And I've just got a plate here that I can mix some colors on, some paper towel, a cup of water, and of course the most important part of painting is coffee. All right, now we're ready. Let's go for it, everybody. I'm going to be looking over here just to make sure everything's working with my recording, and over here for the picture that I have up on a bigger screen. Let's dive right into it. Might turn that a little bit just for right now. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to start off with a bigger brush, biggest brush you got. We're going to take un petit peu de le bleu, a little bit of the blue. We're going to pull a little bit down here. Then we're going to start picking up white, and we're going to start blending that up so it gets lighter when we get to the top. Now this is blended. It's okay. There's no wrong way to do it. We're just going to have it a little darker down here, a little lighter up there, and that's it. Okay. If you're not using our paint, then your blues might be a little bit different. That's okay. My blue is a little bit different as well, because when we originally painted this one, oh geez, years and years ago, we used to use ultramarine blue. And these days, we use phthalo blue. Don't ask me how to spell it. Couldn't do it for the last couple years. Not going to be able to do it today. But phthalo blue is just a little bit more of a prominent blue. It's just a little bit brighter. Now, as you're doing this, you do want to make sure you paint these sides and the edges of your canvas. That's important. And we got a little bit of blue on there. Un petit peu, if you will. And then while I still have blue on my brush, let's start picking up tiny little pin pricks of white. And we're just going to start blending this up. Again, a lot of this is going to be covered over with Snowman, Mr. Snowman, Mrs. Snowman, the Snowman. So don't stress too much about the background. It is going to have a snow person on it. Now we're just going to keep going all the way up so we start getting a little bit lighter. And that's going to be it for this background. And then after that, we will need this. Oh, I just got paint all over myself. It happens on a daily. It's not a big deal, really. I go home and I'm covered in paint. But, I mean, I'm not complaining. I get to paint every day. It's awesome. All right, so we're just going to blend this up. A little bit lighter as we go up. Again, it's just a background. Just a base for us to put everything else on. Don't stress about it. So, like I said, this video is brought to you by the City of Charlottetown. They are wonderful. We've done quite a few for them. We really enjoy doing them. On top of that, we also do videos on our Facebook page, East Coast Art Party. And what we've been doing lately is once a week, I will do a free live one on our main Facebook page. That's just East Coast Art Party. And anybody can tune into that. And that one I do leave up so that people can rewatch it. And then randomly through the week, I will put up some free replays of previous ones that I've done in our subscribers group. That might need a little bit more blue up there. I'm just going to play a little bit here. They're all going to be different. It's okay. I always tell people I can paint the same thing 12 times, and guess what? 12 times, it's going to be a little different. So don't you worry about it. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, subscribers. So we do have a subscribers group with over 650 videos, I believe, right from day one. And looking back on day one videos, they were cringy. No, they were great. They were great. But, you know, back then when we first started this, when all those lockdowns and stuff happened, which I know we don't want to talk about. Yeah. Anyway, when all of that happened, we started doing online videos. And I was definitely not used to being in front of a camera. Yeah. It was very, very different. Now, it's great. I talk to myself, and away we go. Occasionally, I'll bring in some other people, like Jeff hasn't been in quite a while, but Jason has been in, he's done some videos. So in the subscribers group, there is also drawing tutorials, drawing, wood burning, cooking, those are my favorite, where we do cooking and painting at the same time. Oh, we've had a blast with that. Science episodes, kids episodes. We got a bit of everything in there. There's so many videos. So to access that, you do have to get an Art Party Pass, which is $15 for a day, or $25 for a month, which is kind of your best bet there. And you can pause, rewind, do whatever you like with over 650 videos, as well as 7 brand new ones every single week. Still doing them. Been doing them from day one. Gonna keep doing them because, well, it's great. It's great. You know, just gives me an excuse to talk to myself. You know, before when I talked to myself, people thought I was crazy. Now, it's okay. Anyway, that is our background, everybody. So I am going to take this plate and I am going to fan it for a minute. Now, if you're not done the background, that's okay. Take your time. Hit that pause button. That's why we're uploading this, so that people can pause it. They can take breaks, they can come back, you can do all of that, okay? So, why don't I just pop up our drying break text. Oh, wrong one. That one. And let's just move that somewhere where you can see it. That'll do. Do. Technology. It's wonderful when it works. And there we go. I'm just going to mute myself for a minute because I might have to cough, and I'm just going to fan this dry. Okay, I think that's good enough for right now, because our snowman is going to take 2 coats. So we are going to put on a thin coat of some white for our snowman. And it's okay, the blue is going to be showing through. Don't stress too much about that. That's going to be, or that's why we're going to be putting on a second coat. There we go. So, thin coat. I am going to take my medium brush, and when you're doing something like this, like, you can chalk it on first if you like, Or what I'm going to do today is just picking up small amounts of white, and I'm going to start off smaller than I think it should be. So for that body area, I'm going to start off down here. I'm going to fill it in. Then I'll just gradually make it bigger and bigger till I think I got the right size, all right? Because you can always make things bigger, but it is hard to make them smaller. So let's just take a little bit of white, take a look at our picture here, and let's just start nice and light sketchy lines, because we're going to tweak this, right? So again, painting is not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to have fun with it. Alright, now that's going to need some tweaking on the shape, I can tell you that. But we are going to fill it in with a thin, small coat of white. And as you can see, some of my blue is showing through. Some of my blue is kind of getting picked up. That's okay. We're going to do a second coat after we fan it dry. We will need to fan it dry again. Or just let it sit, take a break, go make yourself another cup of coffee, grab yourself a juice box. Whatever you may be doing. Get up, do a bunch of jumping jacks. You know, anything like that. Again, this is just base coat. Oh, I thought I didn't unmute myself. Whew! Scared for a second there. Haven't done that for a while. Some of the first few videos, we'd come back from a drying break and completely forget to unmute ourselves. Okay. There we go. Now, let's change the shape of this a little. Round them out a touch. That should do for now. All right, we'll make that work. Now I am going to lightly put on the scarf and then the head, because we are going to paint that with white too. Then when we get to actually painting the scarf, you can change the color of the scarf. It doesn't need to be green. It can be any color scarf you want. So let's see here. Again, I'm going to start this off a little bit smaller than I think it should be. He's just going to have a little tiny head right now. And then we'll tweak that and change it up. That scarf's going to have to be a little bit bigger. A little too tight around his neck. That's okay. Let's fill it in and then we'll tweak the shape. It's all just about small little changes. And filling it in first gives you a better picture of what it is rather than just looking at lines. That's why I start off with small lines and then just build from there. And we do that on pretty much everything. Some of the paintings where there's a bit more like complex shapes, I do break them down into basic shapes and I put those on screen so that everybody can see in the subscribers group what the basic shapes are before we start anything. Some of them we do need chalk and pencil for. This one I like to kind of wing it because it's a snowman. And just slight tweaks. scarf a little bit. Let's see how that is. It's not too bad. Could be a little bit more. Hey, no snowman is perfect. It's okay. There we go. Now it looks like his body's got to be a little bit bigger. Let's make that a little bit more robust. Since I'm down here, I'm just going to slap a little bit of white on here before I fan the whole thing dry again. And then we'll need that second coat. Just spreading out some extra paint here. That'll do. All right. Let me go ahead and fan them dry again. After cleaning off my brush, always good to clean your brushes. You don't want that to dry and get hard and sticky, and then it's just Anyway, let's go ahead and get him dry. Okay, that should be dry enough for a second coat here. If it's not, again, take your time. There is no rush. You guys paint at your own pace. I'm going to put on another coat of white here, and then while that's drying, we can go ahead and make ourselves some brown, do a few other little things, and then we'll come back to this guy and do a whole bunch of detail work. Now is also a good time, well, while we're making the brown, to ponder what color scarf you're going to put on the snowman. Is it going to be green? Are you going to change it? There we go. That should do for now. Might throw on a little bit more white here or there as we're doing some of the other stuff, just to help that. But we do have some blending to do on there as well. All right, let's go into making some brown. This is going to be for these stick arms. We'll do that. We'll make a few colors while we're letting this kind of chill out on its own instead of fanning it. If we need to fan it after, we will, but let's make ourselves, I'm just going to put him right up there. Let's make ourselves some brown after a sip of coffee. Delicious. So, to make brown, it all depends on the pigments that you have. The types of blue, the types of red, the types of yellow, okay? But it is a mixture of those three colors. There is a bajillion different ways to make brown, but the way I'm going to make it today with the colors that I have and the paints that we use is I am going to start off with a scoop of yellow, about the same amount of red, and then just little tiny bits of blue. Un petit peu de le bleu. And we start stirring that together. Now, as you are stirring it together, remember, small little changes at a time. As you are stirring it together, if it's looking too orange, like mine is, means you need to add in a little tiny little pinprick of blue. Stir it together. Then see what it looks like. And keep going with small adjustments. Now, if you added too much blue and your paint is looking green, that means you need to add more red. If your paint is looking purple, that means you need more yellow. But small tweaks at a time. Blue, especially phthalo blue, is very overpowering. So that's why we do little bits at a time. And just make sure it's all fully stirred up before adding anything else. Because even just here, where I added in some blue, when I first stirred it, it looked green, but gotta finish stirring it. Gotta make sure it's all nice and mixed in there. And we should have ourselves some brown. There we go. So we've got some brown. Let's go ahead with a little tiny brush. Let's take a little bit of brown. Let's go ahead and put on some stick arms. So skinny at first, then we can always widen it up Remember, it's always easier to make things bigger than it is to make them smaller. And the lighter you press, the skinnier your lines will be. So we're going to get these on with skinny lines first, and then I'll go back and widen it up a little. That arm's kind of tilted a little bit. That's all right. He's mid-wave. That's what it is. Mid-wave. Yeah, we'll get this guy on here. And then I'm just doubling back on my line and making it a little bit wider as it gets to his shoulders. Because the stick would be really skinny out at the ends and a little bit wider down by his body. There. Lovely. Now to accent these while they're still wet, because we're going to do that now and then we just don't have to do it later and we can just forget all about the arms and they're done. To accent these, while it's still a little bit wet, I still have brown on my brush, we pick up the smallest little pinprick of black and we're going to lightly brush that into the right hand side of both of these sticks. Then we clean out our brush, make sure we have a little bit more brown on it, and we do a little bit of white accented on the left-hand side of the sticks, all right? That's going to give you that contrast, so you get a darker and a lighter side. But you do want to do it while the paint is still a little bit wet, so that it kind of blends together. Just makes it stand out a bit more. A little bit too much black. I'll just wipe some of that off. There we go. Little tiny bits. Now, after we're done this, I am going to make sure that my snowman is dry. So maybe we'll make some colors, then we'll make sure our snowman's dry. Because everything else we got to do on the snowman, the scarf, the earmuffs, the carrot nose, they are going to take 2 coats. And they are going to take some blending. But the first coat we put on is just going to be the straight color, whatever color we choose. Then for the second coat, that's when we're going to do some blending. Kind of like we're doing here with these arms. There, now our arms are nice and accented. Very cute. Clean out that brush. And we're going to get ready to make some more colors, and then we can triple check that our snowman's dry. Alright, so let me just move him up there again. Let's make the colors that we need. First off, we're going to need, let's do our scarf color, Maisel. I'm going to make green. You can make whatever color and whatever shade color you want. Doesn't have to be green. If you are making green, I am going to start off with a nice big old scoop of yellow, or 2, or 3. And I'm going to start adding little tiny bits of blue at a time, stirring it together. It's going to be a nice bright green. That's the other thing about using phthalo blue versus ultramarine. Now, ultramarine is what we use for the original picture, like I said. And the greens that ultramarine makes, they're a little bit, almost like a dirtier color. You know, like it's a bit of a darker kind of, more of an olive-ish kind of green. Whereas phthalo blue gives you these really bright, happy greens. And you can change that if you want, your green to be a little bit more muted. If you were to want it a little bit more muted and kind of a darker-ish color, you would add in a little tiny bit of white and a very, very tiny bit of black. And that would make it a little bit more of a foresty kind of green. This is a very nice bright. It's a dark green, but it is bright. Make sense? All right, I'm going to use that color for my scarf because I like it. Let's clean off our brush, dry it off. And let's go ahead and make ourselves a little bit of orange. We're going to need some orange. So let's take some yellow again. So another thing, whenever you're mixing colors, you always want to start with your lightest color first. So for example, orange is yellow and red, and then we can tweak it from there. But orange is yellow and red, so you always start with yellow first because it's lighter than red. Make sense? Because you only add little bits of red at a time to make it darker. It was the same when we did green, where we started with yellow and then added little bits of blue. So you always start with your lighter color first. So I'm going to start adding in little bits of red at a time. I think I'm going to add a little tiny pinprick, just a little bit of white. White also helps cover other colors. So when you add a little bit of white into this orange, it does brighten it up just a smidge, but then it also helps it cover when we put it on the painting. Yellow itself is a bit of a thin color, just like a transparent, there we go, words. A bit of a transparent color. So we've got some orange. One more color, and then we'll worry about the pink afterwards. One more color is going to be for his earmuffs. And again, his earmuffs don't have to be red. They can be any color you want. To make the red ones, though, I'm not going to use just straight up red because it's a little bit too bright. I am going to use straight up red for the heart, but not for the earmuffs. For the earmuffs, I'm going to take some red, and I'm going to add in very, very small little bits of black. Not very much, because if you add too much black to red, well, it could just turn black, but it also starts to turn a little bit purpley. Because black is generally made with blue. So I'm just going to add very, very small amounts of black, just till it gets a little darker red, kind of like a crimson red. There we go. Okay, now we've got our color palette ready. Those are the colors we're going to need. We'll need pink, but that comes after because we've got some cute little cheeks to put on them. But don't worry about it. So that is going to be our color palette. Da, da, da. How are we doing here? Not bad, not bad. I think down here is fairly dry. That's good. What I might do here is, I might actually... No, let's do the scarf and then we'll come back down here. Because I do want a little bit more white down here and a little bit on his face. But we are going to have to blend in a little bit of blue. So let's go ahead and paint in our scarf with a thin coat of whatever color you chose. I'm going to do green. And remember, it'll take a second coat afterwards. So let's just go ahead and paint in our scarf with a thin coat of whatever color. Let's do the cross piece first, the neck piece. Then we'll worry about those tails. Da, 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 da. there. And let's just go right across here. I'll smooth that line out, don't you worry. There we go. Excuse me. Okay, looking all right. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and fill that in. There. Got a nice little cross piece on our scarf. Very cute. Now we are going to do the tails of the scarf. And there's two of them. But again, we're going to start those off with a skinny line. Doesn't have to be super skinny, but with just a line. And then we can widen them up. So there is one that's going to be kind of up and down. Okay? So I'm going to start it about here. We'll go up a little. And then we're going to swoop them down that way. And that skinny little line we'll just gradually make a bit wider until we get a nice tail of our scarf. We'll flatten it out down at the bottom here. And then take a little look-see at it. Could be a little bit wider. Small tweaks, little bits at a time. Now for the other one, which is going to be underneath these guys, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start it off with just a little line like so. And then again, we'll just widen that up. And then afterwards, with our second coat, we will put a little bit more dimension into them, some highlights, some lowlights, give the scarf a little bit more shape, you know, that kind of thing. There we go. That'll do. Okay. Let's go into the earmuffs and carrot nose. And then we will do a little bit of white and some blending with a smidge of blue to give it a little bit of shadow. And then we should be okay to go back and do our second coats, where we do blending a little bit more on it. So, clean brush again. I'm going to grab a guy that's a little bit smaller here. And I'm going to take some of my darker red, and we're going to put ovals on either side. Now again, starting these smaller than we think they should be. See, we're going to start them off itty bitty, and then we'll make them bigger. There we go. just gradually changing the shape of them. A little bigger, a little bigger. That'll do for one. It's a little bit inside his head, but that's okay. Maybe he's got his head turned a little bit more this time. Like I said, they're all going to be a little different. That guy's got to be a little bit bigger, doesn't he? He's got to match the other one a smidge more. That's a little bit better. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, let's lean him in a touch. Sorry, that happens a lot where I'm like, oh yeah, that's good, that's good. No, let's tweak it a little. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Nah, let's change it a touch. That'll do. All right, I'm gonna leave it. Now we're gonna go into some orange, and we will do a first coat on our carrot nose. So, doing a carrot nose. Again, we're going to start this off with a line, just a line, and then we'll turn it into a little triangle, okay? And we want it to go a little bit past his head here, because he's got his face looking up. And I want it to come down to about, yeah, there we go. Well, we're going to have a big nose today. And we just do a little line. And then we, again, gradually make it into a little triangle. Doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. It's a carrot. We'll just round out the bottom a little. Lovely. Lovely. Carrot nose. Got it. Okay, so before we go back to the scarf, I'm going to go back down to the body here. It's a little bit more blue than I would like it, just see through. So I'm going to take a brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of white. I'm going to put a little bit of white on here. And then, while I still have white on my brush, I'm going to take the smallest little pinprick of blue, tiniest bit imaginable. And we're going to brush a little bit in to the right side, same with the right side of his scarf, so that it kind of looks like a little shadow. Do the same thing with his face in a minute. Now, it doesn't have to be 100% pure white, but I just wanted a little bit more white, and it lets us blend in a little bit of shadow where we want it. Okay, so I get a little bit more white onto them. Yeah, that's a bit better. Now, still with that brush, tiniest pinprick of blue, and then wipe it off. Because again, we don't want much. We just want to pick up the smallest bits to blend in here to act as shadows. There we go. See how we got that little bit on there? That's what we're looking for. And same with sides of his scarf. Small bits, okay? Can't stress that enough. Little tiny bits. If you put a little too much, that's okay. You can always pick up some white and kind of brush it out. Maybe your snowman's just sitting in the shade. It's got a little bit more shadow than in other people's. That's okay. There. Now we got that done. Let's do the same sort of thing with his face. So I am going to clean my brush off again. Put some white on there. And then we'll shadow him up. We should be good to go do our scarf, earmuffs, carrot nose, and then the final few little bits. And then we're going to call it a day. Oh, that's green. What am I doing? I got ahead of myself. Whoops. My bad. All right. White. That's what I was doing. And then again, while that's still wet, let's get that tiny little bit of blue. Un petit peu de le bleu. Get some little bits on here. There we go. That's not bad at all. He's looking good. Okay, so for the scarf, we're going to do it one section at a time. So over here, we'll count this as one section, 2 sections, then 3 and 4, or 3 and 4. So there's 4 sections of the scarf, just going to do one at a time. We are going to paint in section 1 with green, and then while it's still wet, we'll take a very, very, very small bit of black and we'll blend it in to this right side. And then a little bit of white, blend it in to that left side. Light and dark, remember, same way we did with the sticks. So green first, or whatever color your scarf is. And we paint in section 1. Now while section 1 is still wet, let's grab the smallest little bit of black. And let's put a little bit on there. See how it creates, and this is like the tiniest bit of black, okay? So I'm picking up black and wiping it off very well. We just want to create a little shadowy bit. See how now right in there is a bit darker? Wipe that black off my brush. Pick up a little smidgen of white. And same sort of thing, but this time we're going to the other side. Light, dark. There. Light, dark. That's blending. Let's move on to part number 2. Same thing. Gonna paint it in with some green first. While it's still wet, we're going to add in little bits of black so we have shadows. Pin pricks of black, and then making sure to wipe your brush off. Little bit's going to go a long way. So take your time with it. with the white. Now we got some light and dark in there. Let's do the small one in the back here. Then we'll do that front guy. Green first. Smidgen of black. And then itty bitty little bit of white for that contrast. Whoops, that was a lot of bit. That's okay. There. And finally, section number this one. Shadow it up, then lighten it up, and we have ourselves a nice little scarf. Now, before I call the scarf done, I am going to take a little bit of green on my brush, and we're going to add some little frilly bits down here. You can use a small brush for this if you like. Just little frilly bits on the ends of the scarf. Nice and simple. And call that scarf done. Before I move up to the rest of his face doing those layers, I'm going to do a first coat of red on the heart. So we'll probably have to do a second one. And that is going to be just red. Just red. We're going to paint in a little heart. There we go. Let's do the red earmuffs next, or again, whatever color earmuffs that you painted. We're going to paint them in one at a time. Another coat of that red, that darker red. And again, while it's still wet, blend in a little tiny, tiny, tiny bit of black into the right side of it. And then it'll be a little tiny bit of white into the left side of it. And give us a little contrast there, and we'll do the next one. Same thing, little smidgen of black. And then little smidgen of white. Oop, that was a lot of it. Let's brush that out. Lovely. Into the carrot nose, same thing we've been doing. Second coat it up. This time, however, instead of using black on the right side, I am going to use a little bit of red. So that kind of gives me a reddish orange on that right side. Still going to use white on the left, but a little bit of red on the right. Cute. All right, a few more little things to do. Let's do some pink cheeks. We don't need very much of this, so I'm just going to grab white on my brush, little tiny pinprick of red, stir it together real quick, because we don't actually need very much. This is just going to be for his cheeks. There we go, rosy cheeks. Then we can get to the fun bit with a little bit of black. Now I'm going to use my very tiny brush with a little bit of black. I do generally just wet my brush a smidge before picking up black. Just helps it flow a bit better. You also want to hold your paintbrush when you're doing black in your little brush really close to the bristles. You have more control over it that way. All right. And also, the lighter you press, the skinnier your lines are going to be. First thing, let's do the curly cues connecting the earmuffs. You can draw these on first if you like. But again, I like to just wing it sometimes. They turn out super curly. Sometimes they turn out a little whoop. You know what I mean? That's all good. Just gonna get some little curly cues on here. That'll do. That'll work. And then working our way down, let's do a few little accent lines on our carrot nose. These are just little tiny lines of black. We're also going to give them some eyes. Oh, one eye's bigger than the other. And we need a smile. Big smile. Cute. Uh-oh, I might sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right. Clean little tiny brush. Let's finish them off with a little bit of white. So, some white snowflakes and then little dotted snowflakes. Now, the way I do the white snowflakes, I start off, okay, say that little dot. We're going to start off in the center there. We're going to do a little brush stroke going up, then a little brush stroke going down, and then side to side. Always starting in the center. There we go. Then, back to the center, we make an X. And we got ourselves a nice little snowflake. Let's do a few of those, and then some nice easy dotted ones. There. does get one or two more. For the dotted ones, pretty simple. We're just going to use the back side of our little brush, dip it in some white, and put some dots. Now, I didn't put these dots on top of our snowman. I kept them around our snowman. Just in the sky, background. And there we go. Oh, one other thing that I kind of forgot is with a little tiny brush and white, and I'll hold this up close, but I am going to put a little dotted line on my heart. Almost forgot to do that. There we go. And then, whenever you are finished that, you are going to have to go ahead and do the most important part of any painting, which would be sign it. Go ahead and sign that bad boy. Yeah. Wonderful. I think he's cute. Anyway, I hope you guys had a lovely time watching this and painting along. Please make sure to post your pictures and tag us and the city, because we all love to see what you guys have created. Your snowmans, your color takes or changes that you did to it and all of that. Absolutely love seeing the pictures. Make sure you tag East Coast Art Party in the City of Charlottetown. Thank you again. Also, check out our Facebook page and websites, because we do have Kids March Break Camp launched right now. So we will be doing a week-long March Break Camp for kids. There's options for full weeks, half days, half weeks, all these other different things. So go online and check that out. Have a lovely rest of your day, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to tune in for the next one, which I believe is on the 19th. Bye, guys.